Hey guys, this is topic 8, linear equation, part 1. So for this topic, we're splitting up into two parts. And this topic 8, will heavily reference topic 7. So there are terms that you might get confused. If you get confused, just go back to topic 7 and watch that video or look at the PowerPoint. So let's start. What's linear equation? Well, linear equation, or equation for short. Well, if you look at the word equation, the word equ sounds similar to equal. In fact, in Latin, equ means equal. So that means equation has something to do with equal signs. In fact, equation by definition is a statement of equality. So what does that mean? Well, basically it has an equal sign. So before we talk about what equation looks like, let's recall what expression looks like. Well, expression looks similar like this: 2x plus 3 and 4 plus 1. So now that we know what expression looks like, let's talk about what equation looks like. By definition, it should look like 2x plus 3 equals 4 plus 1. So you have two equations separated by equal sign. And it doesn't have to be two expressions, okay? So similarly, it can be 3x equals 4. 4 is not expression, just a constant number, but it has an equal sign. And by definition, as long as it has equal sign, it is an equation. So it can be also like x plus 4 times 2 plus 3 equals 0 is considered an equation. So let's have an example. X plus 9 equals 12. In this equation, we can probably think of what the value of x is, right? So what do you think that x is? So x must be 3, since 3 plus 9 is equal to 12 and 12 is equal to 12. So that means 3 is a solution. Well, what are numbers that x cannot be? Well, it cannot be number 4, since 4 plus 9 is equal to 13, and 13 is not equal to 12, so 4 is not a solution. So I've been throwing out this word, solution, around, but what does that mean? Well, solution is a value that makes an equation true. So let's have an example. Y minus 6 times 3 is equal to 12. Is 8 a solution? So what you're going to do is similarly how you evaluate expression. You're going to rewrite the equation with 8 instead of y. So we're going to rewrite this equation with y instead of 8 instead of y. So it's going to be 8 minus 6 times 3 is equal to 12. Now let's solve this part. Let's solve the left hand side. 8 minus 6 is 2. 3 times 2 is 6. And is 6 equal to 12? Is that correct? Nope, since x is not equal to 12, then 8 is not a solution. So let's move on to another example. Z minus 3 times 2 plus 4 is equal to 20. Is 11 a solution? Well, again, what we're going to do is rewrite the equation with 11 instead of z. So it's going to be 11 minus 3 times 2 plus 4 equals 20. Again, solve the one inside the parentheses. 11 minus 3 is equal to 8. 2 times 8 is 16. And then 16 plus 4 is equal to 20. And 20 is equal to 20. So that means 11 is a solution. Now let's have another. Okay. Let's move on to another problem. 5n plus 4 equals 34 which is the solution? 10, 6, or 8? Now let's try 6. Let's try the middle number. 5, we're going to rewrite n with 6. So 5 times 6 plus 4 is equal to 34. 5 times 6 is 30. 30 plus 4 is 34. 34 is equal to 34. So that means 6 is a solution. And just because 6 is a solution, how about you guys try if 10 and 8 are solutions? Now let's move on to, so what if we have a sine number? What if the question is asking if a sine number is a solution? So here's an example. 10 minus y is equal to 13. Is negative 3 a solution? Again, what you're supposed to do is you rewrite the equation with negative 3 instead of y. So it's going to be 10 minus negative 3 is equal to 13. So common mistake people do is when they rewrite the equation, and this also happens in expression, is that when they put in a negative into this, when they rewrite a negative into the variable, they don't include the sign. So instead of 10 minus negative 3, they write 10 minus 3. And this part is wrong. You're supposed to do this correctly. So if you do this correctly, you're going to do your subtraction rule. Minus becomes positive, minus becomes plus, and we rewrite negative 3 as the opposite. What's the opposite of negative 3? 3. Simple 3. Positive 3. So it's going to be 10 plus 3 is equal to 13. And since 13 is equal to 13, then 3 is the solution. Now that we're done with solution and round solution, let's move on to the main topic of this part. So before we do it, we solve things. Let's talk about the addition property of equality. So let's have a simple equation. There's no variables here. 6 plus 8 is equal to 14, and those are two equal things because if you solve 6 plus 8, you get 14, and 14 is equal to 14. Well, what does addition property of equality say? Well, the property say that if we add some number to both sides of an equation, it will still remain equal. So again, we'll focus on this equation. 6 plus 8, and still 6 plus 8, we're adding plus 3 to that. So 6 plus 8 plus 3. And since by addition property of equality, since we added plus 3 on this side, we also have to write plus 3 on the other side. So now let's check if it's true. If it's still the same thing. 6 plus 8 plus 3 is 17. And 14 plus 3 is 17. Did they remain equal? Yes. So if you still don't understand what is addition property of equality, you can think of all given equations are balanced. So it's going to be 6 plus 8 equals 14. And the 14, the equal sign is the pivot point. So what we want to do is when we add things to an equation is we want to keep it balanced. We don't want one side to be heavier than the other side, and we don't want one side to be lighter than the other side. So to do that, when we add something on one side, we also add one thing on the other side. So right here, when we add on one side, we have to add on the other side to keep it balanced. And there's also subtraction property of equality. Well, this is our two properties of equality right now, but there are other properties of equality. So subtraction property of equality is basically the same thing. If we subtract some number to both sides of the equation, it will still remain equal. So let's try it. 16, our original is 16 plus 8. 16 minus 8 is equal to 8. 8 is equal to 8, so that's true. So now we're going to subtract 4 on both sides. It's going to be 16 minus 8 minus 4. on one side, and then the other side is 18 minus 4. 16 minus 8 minus 4 is 4, and 8 minus 4 is 1. So it still remain equal. So, our main topic for this part is solving equation. So in expression we have the evaluate problems. In equation we have solve problems. So what does solve problem? How do we solve problem? Well, how do we do solve problem? Well, when we solve equation, our goal is to isolate the variable, i.e. undo everything around the variable. So let's have an example. So solve x minus 4 is equal to -1. So our goal is to isolate the variable x. We want this to be by itself. So we have to undo -4. So how do we undo -4? Well, we have to add 4. So it's going to be x minus 4 plus 4 is equal to not minus 1, -1 plus 4. Again, property of equality. If we add one side, we also have to add on the other side. So if you do subtraction rule, it's going to be x plus -4 plus 4. -4 plus 4 is what? 0. So what you're left is x right here, and then what's -1 plus 4? 3. So x has to be equal to 3. So that's our final answer. Pretty simple, right? So what you shouldn't do is whatever you do on one side, you'll do it on the other side. So, but this is a bit lengthy, so we'll do something a bit shorter. So let's say we have y minus 6 is equal to -2. Our goal is to isolate the variable y. So what do you do? Well, first thing first, what you should do is you draw a line that separates the left side of the equation from the right side. So the line has to go through the equal sign down. So what we do is we want to undo -6. How do we undo -6? If we add 4? No, we add 6. So we add 6 on this side. So we also add 6 on the other side of the other side of the line. So the line you wrote is pretty much on the graphic organizer. So you know which one. So you know what are you going to do. So you draw this line. So you know that if you write on one side, you should also write on the other side. So y minus 6 plus 6 is equal to, so if you add 6 on this side, -6 plus 6 is what? 0. So you're left with y, and -2 plus 6 is 4. So our answer is y is equal to 4. So if you didn't get from this example, addition undoes subtraction, and subtraction undoes addition. So if you want to undo minus something, you have to add, and if you want to undo something adding, you have to minus. Now let's have some more example. So pretty much for the rest of the topic, for the rest of the part, we'll do a lot of examples. This is an example-centric topic. So our problem is z plus 3 is equal to 7. Our goal is to isolate z. So how do we do that? How do we get rid of? Are we going to move z around? No, we're not. What we're going to do is we're going to move plus 3 around. So how do we get rid of plus 3? we had to subtract 3. So plus 3 minus 3 is 0, so you're left with z. Since we subtract 3 on one side, we also have to subtract 3 on the other side, the right hand side of the line. 7 minus 3 is 4, so that means z is equal to 4. Now let's have another example. Y plus 12 is equal to 3. Again, our goal in this case is isolate y, so we have to get rid of this plus 12. How do we do that? We minus 12. 12 minus 12 is 0, so you're left with y. And 8 minus 12 is, 3 minus 12 is negative 9. So what our answer is? Y is equal to negative 9. Now let's have another example. Negative 8 is equal to x plus 12, and negative 8 is equal to x plus 1. Our goal is to isolate the variable x. So how do we do that? We have to get rid of the plus 1. What undoes plus again? Minus. So we subtract 1 on one side, we also subtract 1 on the other side. X plus 1 minus 1 is x. Negative 8 minus 1 is negative 9. So this topic is pretty much, you have to be very fluent with topic 6 and topic 7 to do this. So if you still don't know how to do side numbers, go back on that, because from henceforth you need to know that. So now our answer is negative 9 is equal to x. Now let's have, so our example is, so a few more examples. So we have 2 is equal to 8 plus x. Our goal is to isolate the variable x. So how do we do that? Well, again, first thing first, draw the line. In this case, what do we want to do? We want to get rid of the 8, right? So how do you get rid of 8? Well, we have to make 8 a 0, right? So how do we make that a 0? We subtract. So to add 8, we subtract 8. And since we subtract 8 on one side, we also subtract 8 on the other side. 8 plus x minus 8 is simply x. And 2 minus 8 is negative 6. So our answer is x is equal to negative 6. Another way to think of this as when we're doing this is in 8 plus x, is 8 positive or negative? Positive. So we have to get rid of the positive 8. So we need to subtract. So that's why to get rid of the positive 8 means add it to z. We need to subtract. Solve negative 4. Now let's try another problem. Negative 4 is equal to minus 3. Negative 4 is equal to negative 3 plus x. Our goal is to isolate x. So our goal is, again, first thing first, draw the line. And we want to get rid of negative 3. So how do we undo negative 3? We add 3 to that. Since we add 3, we also have to add 3 on one side, the other side. Negative 3 plus x plus 3 is x. Negative 4 plus 3 is equal to negative 1. Question. In both examples, we have a plus in the middle, right? But in the first example, we subtract. to get rid of that number. And on the second problem, we add. Why did we do that? Why is it different? Well, short answer is the sign is different. This one's a positive, this one's a negative. If you want a longer answer, so when this is what really happened. So what you actually did is still subtracted. So we subtracted -3 on this side. So we also subtract -3 on the other side. -3. What happens to these two negatives? It becomes what? What's the sign? It becomes positive. This negative minus -3 can be shortcut, can be rewritten as +3, right? So the other side can also be written as +3. So that's why it's +3 on this side. The shortcut is whatever the sign here, you do the opposite sign. That's pretty much the shortcut when we're doing addition and subtraction. Multiplication division is a different problem, okay? Which is still going to be getting x on one. -3 minus -3 is x, and -4 minus -3 is -1. So either way, we're still going to get x is equal to -1. So what happens? So what do we do? So now that we're good with addition and subtraction, what do we do when we have both variables on both sides? So our problem is 9y is equal to 8y plus 4. Our goal is to isolate the variable y. So our idea is we want to move either variables from one side to the other side. Because we want the variable on only one side. Right now it's in two sides. So first thing first, draw the line separating the two parts. Now our goal is we want to move the smaller variable. Okay, the smaller variable is the one that we are going to move. So which one is the smaller variable? 9y or 8y? 8y, right? So how do we move 8y to this side? Well, we're going to add or subtract. So for 8y to move 8y, are we going to add it or are we going to subtract it? We're going to subtract. So 8y plus 4 minus 8y is simply 4. 9y, since we subtract 8y on the right side, we also subtract 8y on the left side. 9y minus 8y is equal to, again, what we're going to do is combine like terms. If you combine like terms, topic 7, 9y minus 8y is simply y. So our answer is y is equal to 4. Now let's have another example. 8x is equal to -7x is equal to what effort. Okay, sorry about that. So now we have 8x is equal to 7x plus 14. Our goal is to isolate x. Again, our idea is to isolate x, but to do that we want to have x on only one side of the equation. So we have to move the smaller variable. Question: is 8x or 7? Which one is the smaller one? 8x or 7x? 7x. So to move 7x, we have to subtract 7x on this side and on the other side. Don't forget to draw the line. 7x plus 14 minus 7x is basically 14. 8x minus 7x is equal to x. So our answer is x is equal to 14.